On today's episode of Time About the Movies, after yet another really bad week in 2011, we get a really good week coming your way this week. We got Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro starring in the thriller Limitless. Matthew McConaughey stars alongside Marissa Tomei and Ryan Felipe in The Lincoln Lawyer. And Nick Frost and Simon Pegg reunite, not for a film by Edgar Wright, but a film with a talking alien voiced by Seth Rogen, who likes to smoke and do whatever Seth Rogen usually does in movies like this, Paul. So, we'll take a look at those three movies today on March 18th, 2011. This is Time About the Movies.
So, Eddie Mora, I mean, you do know you're a freak.
What if there was a pill that could give you everything you ever wanted?
A tablet a day, and what I could do was limitless. I learned to play the piano. Math became useful and fun. I learned everything, about everything.
Since when do you speak Italian?
How many of us ever know what it is to become the perfect version of ourselves?
You think somebody's watching?
What's the asking price?
12.5.
I'll take it.
Have you asked yourself what you're going to do when you run out?
You'll die.
There's no scenario. You don't work for me.
No scenario. I see 50 scenarios. That's what it does, Carl. It puts me 50 moves ahead of you. Worth the risk? What would you do?
Limitless. This film is not yet rated. In theaters March 18th.
And already we are putting last week behind us and getting to some really good stuff. Welcome to Time About the Movies, where today we are taking a look at the three films of March 18th, 2011. And our first movie is, of course, Limitless, which is a thriller about a writer who takes an experimental drug that allows him to use 100% of his mind. As one man evolves into the perfect version of himself, forces more corrupt than he could imagine mark him for assassination. An out-of-work writer, played by Bradley Cooper's rejection by his girlfriend, played by Abby Cornish, confirms his belief that he has zero future. That all vanishes the day that an old friend introduces Eddie to MDT, a designer pharmaceutical that makes him laser-focused and more confident than any man alive. Now on an MDT-fueled odyssey, everything Eddie's read, heard, or seen is instantly organized and available to him. As the former nobody rises to the top of the financial world, he draws the attention of a business mogul played by Robert De Niro, who sees this enhanced version of Eddie as the tool to make billions. But brutal side effects jeopardize his meteoric ascent. And true story, I had just seen the movie Sucker Punch the day I saw this film, and Abby Cornish was in that movie too. But unlike Sucker Punch, which we're going to get into next week, this is the far superior movie. This is a film that is right up there with Rango as one of the best movies of the year. And again, the year has not been that good, but a movie like this, talk about a film that just came out of nowhere when I saw it. I went in there not really knowing too much about it except from the trailers that I saw from it. And when I got out of it, it was just like, wow, this was a really good movie. And it works because, A, Bradley Cooper, because, by this point he was still kind of seen as that douchebag dickhead from like Wedding Crashers, and kind of the main lead in The Hangover. But in this movie, he really does get a chance to shine here and show that he's not just a guy who works simply in comedy. He can do other things, and he makes this performance work so well. He's great playing Eddie. Robert De Niro usually gives a very good performance. It's probably one of his best performances he's had in a long time. And, this is a movie where he kind of redeems himself after, a bad film like Little Fockers, which really was not up to where he should be. And again, Abby Cornish was just in Sucker Punch, which I've seen that same day. And again, we'll talk about that next time around. But she redeems herself here as well. A lot of people in this movie are very good. I like the idea of the pill. It's a really cool concept overall. The story around it is very well done. Director Neil Berger, who did The Illusionist, does a fantastic job with this visual look of the film. And it never gets boring or makes you tired. You really are convinced into this movie all the way to the very end. Everything about it works. It reminds me a lot of Fight Club, honestly. It's a movie you got to pay attention throughout the course of the film, and has a good payoff at the end too. I mean, I feel like it's a film that was gonna have that same type of a cult following that Fight Club did. Even though this was a bigger hit than Fight Club was, it did eventually lead to a television series, so I guess it did have more success than Fight Club did overall. But I think Fight Club has had the big... I mean, me personally, I think Fight Club has had the bigger success even without really spawning any television series and all that. Like, this one is a really good movie. It's a really well done film, very stylized, very cool, takes you completely by surprise the first time you see it. It's definitely one of the few highlights that 2011 had to offer, and this is a really damn good film. Can't recommend this one enough. Limitless, top-notch stuff. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to kind of another underrated little gem that came out this weekend, and it's another movie that really helped the main actor of it really get his career back on track. Matthew McConaughey in The Lincoln Lawyer.
Attorney Mickey Heller.
Counselor, we had a deal.
It used to be all about the money.
You gonna count it? Just did.
But on March 18th,
No deals, no bargaining. I'm innocent.
it's all about the truth.
You got one client in jail for what your other client did. What you gonna do, Mick?
You know what? I ain't trusting. I'm trying to make it right.
The Lincoln Lawyer, rated R, starts March 18th.
Now, unlike Limitless, this wasn't a massive hit overall, but it did eventually go on to spawn a television series, kind of like what Limitless did, and I think it's still on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. Either that or it just got canceled. No, it's still going on. It's heading into its fourth season. I haven't watched it, so I can't really tell you if it's any good or not, but I have seen this movie. This is based off of Michael Connelly's book of the same name. It stars Matthew McConaughey as Mickey Haller, who's a Los Angeles criminal defense attorney who operates out of the backseat of a chauffeur-driven Lincoln Town Car. He takes on cases of a wealthy client accused of assault. As the trial progresses, Haller uncovers unsettling parallels with the previous case, forcing him to confront ethical dilemmas and hidden truths. Cast also includes Ryan Felipe, Marissa Tomei, Josh Lucas, John Leguizamo, William H. Macy, and Bryan Cranston. And again, it's a film that kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody really knew if it was going to be any good, but not only was it good, but it showed Matthew McConaughey returning to his roots. Everyone looked at Matthew McConaughey at this point as just that goofy, wacky guy who was in those romantic comedies with Kate Hudson. That was pretty much him throughout much of the 2000s, with a couple of exceptions here and there. He would take on a dramatic role here and there, specifically We Are Marshall, where he was really good, but you forget that he began his career as a legitimate dramatic actor. People forget that he was in movies like A Time to Kill, or Dazed and Confused, and Amistad, and U-571. But this was the point where his career really began to go back on track here, and this is where he would eventually go on to become the actor that would eventually win the Oscar 2 years later for Dallas Buyers Club. He's great as Mickey Haller in here. He's very good in here playing this role. The cast overall was great in here. You got a lot of seasoned vets in this movie. Not just the people I mentioned, but Michael Pena, Bob Gutton, Francis Fisher, Trace Adkins, Margarita Oliveira, Shea Wingham. Just a terrific, terrific cast in this movie. It's got this nice gritty feel, too. This director, Brad Furman, I can't remember what else he did, but he would later go on to do stuff like Runner Runner, The Infiltrator. First thing he did was The Take, which is a movie I've never even heard of, but not bad for your first directorial outing, for your first major directorial outing that people knew you for. The writer of this, John Romano, has done a lot of stuff for like Hill Street Blues. You know, he's a seasoned veteran. He's written for L.A. Law. He's written for Cop Rock, American Dreams, Party of Five. He worked on 24. He's done a lot of stuff that you're very familiar with. And he does a good job of bringing the story to life to the big screen. I mean, it's a movie that really does work. And you know when a studio knows how good of a movie is when they're literally telling you, hey, go see this movie, and if you're not thrilled by it, we'll give you your money back. They did that with Universal did that a couple years ago with Cinderella Man, which was a movie that did not do well. And they had a thing where it was just like, you know, hey, if you don't like this movie, we'll give you your money back, no questions asked. And most people ended up liking that movie. They did the same thing with this. That's how you know a studio very much is well aware of the type of film that they have here. And this is a film that really does work very well. It doesn't do anything too groundbreaking or new, but it did what it needed to do. It helped Matthew McConaughey get back on track, get back to becoming the actor that his career started off as, and no longer doing these lousy romantic comedies that just didn't work. Here he gets a chance to shine, and he really does make it work. I can't recommend this one enough. The Lincoln Lawyer, must-see film. Must-see film. So overall, we had two really good movies, and our last film may be the least of the enjoyable ones, but it's a complicated one. Let's talk about Paul.
The individual that you're traveling with is highly dangerous.
He's evil!
Hey! No! Reese's Pieces! Thank you!
His life's in danger. He needs our help.
You gentlemen seen anything unusual this evening? Come on, break it down, boys. No, not really. Yippee, the alien! Get your own alien! It's broken time. Paul, make it on.
Yeah, this is a very interesting one here, because like another Seth Rogen movie that came out in 2011, The Green Hornet, I remember coming out liking the film overall, but it's been 14 years since I've really taken a look at this film again, and I hadn't really thought about it all that much. I didn't think it was that great. I didn't think it was something where I needed to go back and see it again, but considering that I was doing it for the show, I decided to take a look at it again, and does it hold up? Well, maybe not as much as I remember it, but let's take a look at it. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost star as these two sci-fi geeks whose pilgrimage takes them to America's UFO heartland. While there, they accidentally meet an alien who brings them on an insane road trip that alters their universe forever. For the past 60 years, an alien named Paul, played by Seth Rogen, has been hanging out at a top-secret military base. When he discovers he's been taken prisoner, the space-traveling smartass decides to escape the compound and hop on the first vehicle out of town, a rented RV containing Earthlings Graham, Willie, and Clyde Goggins. Chased by federal agents, one of them played by Jason Bateman, and the fantastical father of a young woman that they accidentally kidnap, Graham and Clive hatch a fumbling escape plan to return Paul to his mothership. And the movie isn't bad. It's not a bad movie. I remember when I came out of it, I really enjoyed it. But like I said, it's been 14 years since I've seen the film, and honestly, I never really had that urge to go back and watch it overall. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not even a movie that I would say you shouldn't see. It's a decent film. I don't think it's as great as I first made it out to be, but it was fun for what it was. I mean, I thought it was okay. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost do work off each other very well here. Seth Rogen, you can tell he's having a lot of fun making this movie, but honestly, when you've watched American Dad for the last 20 years and you've seen that alien and Roger on that show, and then they're trying to do the same thing here, if I had to choose between Roger or Paul, I'm obviously going to go with Roger, because American Dad, I think, is just a much better show in general, and the fact that American Dad has much more enjoyment factor than Family Guy does, and Family Guy's the one that everyone talks about. Nobody ever talks about how American Dad still is funny after 20 years. I mean, that show is not lost to beat whatsoever. But, yeah, like I said, if I had to choose between Roger or Paul, I'm definitely taking Roger for American Dad. But, I mean, the character isn't bad in here, per se. The supporting cast overall isn't bad either. I think Kristen Wiig's pretty good. Sigourney Weaver has a little bit of a good role here. Jason Bateman, Joe Latruglio, Bill Hader, Jeffrey Tambor, Blythe Danner, she was just in a Little Fockers too, and, just like how Robert De Niro had his redemption, she was actually pretty good in here for the little bit she was in. If there was one complaint about the movie, and I think it is my biggest complaint, is that you've got Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and you're expecting them to have that amazing chemistry they had in Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, but because Edgar Wright isn't involved in this, I think it really doesn't. That relationship isn't as strong as it was in those two movies. But that's not the fault of the director, Greg Matala, who's made a lot of good movies. Superbad, and the last film he directed was Adventureland, which I thought was a very good film. I think the two of them do a very good job with the screenplay they're given. It felt like this was a film that wasn't really thought out as much as they should have. I really would have liked if they toned down the pop culture references, because it's just like, it's all over the place in here, and it's just like, I mean, to its credit, there isn't a point in the film where any of the dialogue seems forced, or makes you just want to go, oh my god, you gotta be kidding me with this. I mean, I think the movie overall, it's fine. I think it does a good job of what they're trying to do here. The visuals are nice, the motion capture can work on Paul overall. I think the story could have used a little bit more if they hadn't gone for the straight-up pop culture references they throw in there, and if you had somebody on the same writing level as Edgar Wright who can work well with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. It felt like the pieces were there, and for what they had, it's passable. It's a movie where I would say it's fine, but it's not one I would say you're going to watch it over and over again. Like, it's a film that definitely has not aged well in the last couple of years, but it's a film that I would say it's not bad. It's fine for what it is. It's a decently made film. For a one-time watch, if you just want to see that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost work with an alien played by Seth Rogen, it's fine for what it is, but it's not a film that I would say rush out to see it. If it's playing on TV and there's literally nothing else on, I would say do that, but I mean, like I said, once you've watched it, you've pretty much seen it enough of it to say that you're probably never going to watch it again anytime soon. Passable, nothing spectacular, nothing amazing, but you know what, considering what we've had so far to start the year off, a weekend like this is more than fine with me. We needed a weekend like this, big time. And then just like that, next weekend we're back to the crap again. As we wrap March off, we have another week of lesser movies. We have Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules, the sequel to one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, you could tell I'm not looking forward to that. And if that wasn't bad enough, we have a movie that is very high up of my worst movies that I've ever seen in my entire life. From Zack Snyder, coming off his best movie in Legend of the Guardians, he decided to say, you know what? I may have made the best movie of my career with Legend of the Guardians. Now I'm going to make my worst ever with Sucker Punch. And yeah, God, this year has been so terrible, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. So we'll talk about those two movies coming up on the next episode. That'll be tomorrow. But until then, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the last episode we did. And stay tuned, because later on today, Time About the Movies Flashback comes your way with the films of February 6, 1987, I think. I think we're at that point right now, but I'd have to double check that again. But I think we are at that point, but we'll take a look at that coming up in just a little bit here. But in the meantime, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.